G'day, I'm Dylan and this is the Indian Sport Chief RT. It's an all-new model for 2025 and it's a direct shot at the Harley-Davidson Low Rider ST. Did Indian nail it? Let's take a look and find out.
The Indian Sport Chief RT was introduced earlier in 2025 and it carries a price tag of just under $36,000 right away. Like the original Sport Chief that debuted in 2024, it features bold club style and a punchy V-twin engine. But in a bid to target Harley-Davidson's popular Low Rider ST, Indian has added some new equipment, with the RT referring to the touring nature of the bike. Indian's local arm has put in its faith in the RT version and has opted not to bring in the standard Sport Chief going forward.
So what's new with the Indian Sport Chief RT? Well, the most obvious difference are these hard saddlebags. Indian says they have about 37 litres of storage and they are lockable, but when you open them up, there's actually not a whole lot of room in there. You could fit enough clothes in there for, say, like an overnighter, but you wouldn't want to go away for much longer than that. But of course, we need to remember that this is a performance cruiser, not a bagger, so there is going to be a little bit of compromise with that storage space. Also new is this two-up seat. Indian calls it a bolster seat, which is a bit of a funny name, and it's not really the world's most comfortable pillion seat, but it is an improvement over the original Sport Chief.
Elsewhere, there isn't too much change. The bike does come standard with an audio system in the US, but sadly, it's only an option here in Australia. And one other strange omission from Indian is that there's no lockable fuel cap.
One thing that hasn't really changed is the motor, which once again is the beautiful 116 Thunderstroke air-cooled engine. Indian doesn't quote horsepower, but from what I can tell, torque has actually dropped a little bit from 162 to 156 Newton meters, and that's also a little bit less than the Harley Low Rider ST. But to be honest, it's still plenty.
Also the same as the original Sport Chief is the suspension, which consists of a KYB fork up front and fully adjustable Fox piggyback shocks at the rear, and the Brembo brakes, which are mostly unchanged. The RT does get a pair of Metzler Cruise Tech tyres though, which is a change up from the Pirelli Night Dragons on the standard bike.
Another carryover is the tech, which was already pretty comprehensive on the original Sport Chief, and there's no real changes here. Once again, it all centers around this beautiful circular TFT display, and what I really love about this is that it's actually touchscreen. Not a lot of brands do touchscreens these days, but I think they should, because this is a really, really good system. The menu is a little bit busy, but it's easy enough to navigate, and you can also use the touchscreen with gloves, which is pretty cool.
Standard on the Sport Chief RT is 3 ride modes, keyless ignition, cruise control, USB and 12-volt charging ports, smartphone connectivity, and colour map navigation. ABS and traction control are also standard, but not lane sensitive.
We said off the top that the key rival for the Sport Chief RT is of course the Low Rider ST from Harley-Davidson, but to be honest, this bike does fall a little bit short on the spec sheet. But like a lot of Indian models, the bike really does come into its own out on the road, so let's go and have a look.
Well, bikes like this are all about the torque, so let's open it up and see what it's got. Whew. Oh yeah, that ticks the box. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the torquiest bike I've ever ridden, but if anyone says they need more than what this offers, they're probably kidding themselves. This is a cruiser after all, it's not a race bike. You know, we're not trying to set world records here. You just want enough torque to have a bit of fun and to overtake people when you need to, and hey, this bike ticks that box. I'm also super impressed by the ride quality of this bike. Of course, you've got the forks at the front, which are non-adjustable, but the Fox piggyback shocks at the rear are adjustable, which is a really cool addition. And I'm not sure if these are the stock settings, but as I'm riding the bike now, the ride quality is amazing. It's not too firm, not too soft, it's just in that sweet spot. And in the corners, it's really nice. It holds its line well, it doesn't wallow, it doesn't squat, and it just feels super balanced and stable. And yeah, I'm really impressed by the suspension quality on this bike. The bike handles very well too. It's a heavy bike, of course, north of 300 kilos, but yeah, it handles nicely. Look, I'm not going to use words like nimble or agile to describe it by any means, but it turns, and it turns pretty well. It does have quite a sporty nature to it, but the one downside is that the pegs do touch the tarmac a little bit too easily. and that was a problem I had with the original Sport Chief. It's not a deal breaker. The bike still is quite fun in the twisties, but yeah, that is one little downside. You've also got the Brembo brakes up front with 320mm discs, and I could be wrong here, but I think the calipers are actually built in-house by Indian rather than being a Brembo product. And to be honest, they're probably the one area of this bike that I don't find outstanding. They're good, they do the job, but they just feel a little bit soft, especially the rear. The front feels a little bit soft too, and for a big heavy bike like this, I just like a little bit more power, a little bit more bite. But hey, they're still safe, they'll still get you stopped in time, so there's no worries there.
So, what else can I tell you about the Sport Chief RT? Well, the brakes felt a little on the soft side, but they did do their job. And the ride position, while perfect for my 6'1" frame, might be a little stretched out for smaller riders. Overall though, the Sport Chief is a really solid effort from Indian. Yes, there are a few little flaws, but the performance and build quality make up for any shortcomings. Some riders may naturally gravitate towards Harley-Davidson because of the brand, but I think it's a fair argument to say that Indian makes bikes that are just as good, if not better. And the Sport Chief RT is a great example.